This is exercise 11.3, creating a ramp Gore. In this exercise, we will use a variety of modeling tools to create a ramp Gore on an exit ramp. Let's go ahead and open up the Roadway RDWYII corridor DGN file located within the Chapter 11 subfolder. So make sure that the default view is still active in the lower left corner, and we're going to make sure we have the correct files attached. So we need to have the alignments, the proposed, the ramp corridor, and terrain file all referenced into this file. And then locate the ramp in the lower right corner of the intersection, which is right here. And then note that the Roadway RG proposed DGN file is a 2D SS2 file that will serve as a reference for what we will be recreating in ORD. So first we need to create an auxiliary lane for the entrance into the ramp using a point control. So go ahead and select the prop EOP control feature definition under linear, roadway, model control 2D plan, and then EOP. And then for the next couple steps, the create 3D automatically does not need to be turned on. So next, open up the single offset entire element tool under open node modeling, geometry, horizontal, and offsets and tapers. And select the edge of pavement in the 2D SS2 model. And then set the offset to 0 and then left click to accept. Next, open the create point control tool under open node modeling, corridor, edit and edits, and then select the I-65 corridor. Then in this dialog box, we're going to set the start station to 402 plus 00. The stop station as 413.90.46. So that's going from the start of the corridor to the start of the ramp geometry. Leave the control description as blank. The point here needs to be EOPR. Mode is horizontal. Control type is linear geometry. And then the plan element here, it needs to be EOP-control. Then the rest can be left as blank and then left click through the prompts. And I'm also just going to open up the 3D view. So this here is what we just added with that point control. So now open the create key station tool under open node modeling, corridor, edit, and then edits. And we're going to add a key station. Select the I-65 corridor once again. And then this key station is going to be at station 413 plus 90.47. This key station is going to be near the transition to create a smooth break. Next, we need to turn the mainline corridor shoulder off. So let's go ahead and open up the create parametric constraint tool under open node modeling, corridors, edit, and edits, and select the I-65 corridor. And here we want to set the start station to 413 plus 90.47, which is the end of the ramp alignment. And then we want to end this parametric constraint at 416 plus 43.93, which is the end of the rounded end of the Gore. Then the constraint value we want to select here is shoulder off right. And then the start and stop values we just put in as 0.1. These values can be anything other than 0 to turn the shoulder off. And so left click through the prompts. So you can see we just took out that chunk of road there. Now we can just go ahead and open the create key station tool once again. We're going to add another key station. Again to the I-65 corridor. And this one's going to be at station 416.43.9. And once again, this key station is going to make a clean break where the shoulder turns off. Now let's open up the Roadway RG ramp corridor DGN file located within the Chapter 11 subfolder. So this file is blank other than the attached reference files. We will be placing two templates on the ramp, the concrete ramp itself and then the asphalt tie from the mainline corridor through the Gore. So the first one we're going to place will be the concrete portion of the ramp. So let's go ahead and open up the new corridor tool under Open Roads Modeling, Corridors, and then Create. So within this Create Corridor dialog box, select the Final Design Feature Definition, and then we're going to name this corridor as Ramp 3. Then let's select the ramp geometry. And then right-click to reset for the active profile. And then left-click to accept. Now within this Create Template Drop dialog box, let's select the TS4 right one-lane concrete template under Linear Templates, T-Dot, Typical Sections, and then Undivided. And then select OK. We're going to set the drop interval to 25. Place the start of the template at the start of the nose of the Gore, which is station 502-5109. And then we're going to log it at the end of the alignment. And then just left click through the prompts here. And we see this template has been added, but if we go to 3D view, we can see it a little easier. So this is what we just placed. So before we place the asphalt template drop, we need to set a point control on the mainline corridor. So go ahead and select the Prop EOP Control feature definition under Linear, Roadway, Model Control, 2D Plan, and then EOP. And then turn on 3D Automatic. So this line that we're about to place is difficult to place with all of the levels turned on. So we're going to turn off a bunch of levels here. So I'm going to have the View 1 default active, and then in the level display, go to the alignments file. And we're going to turn everything off except we're going to turn back on the Design CL Proposed line. Then in the Corridors file, I-65 corridor, we're going to turn everything off except for the Design Model Lines Pavement Edge. And then in the RG Proposed file, turn everything off, and then we're going to turn back on the Design Transportation Shoulder Lines, and then Design Transportation Text. And then in the Ramp Corridor file, turn everything off, and then we're going to turn back on the Design Model Line Pavement Edge, and Design Tran Edge of Travel Way. And I'm also going to turn off the 3D reference model here. And now we have a pretty clean file that we're going to be working in. So we're going to be working here near this 12-foot dimension line. Next tool we need is the Single Offset Partial tool under Open Roads Modeling, Geometry, Horizontal, and then Offsets and Taper. And then we need to select the EOP RM for the mainline corridor. And important to know which line from which corridor you're selecting here. So it says this belongs to I-65, so we know that's the mainline corridor. So here we're going to set the offset to be 24 feet. Start this line at the start of the ramp alignment until the ramp starts to split off. So we can snap to the start of the EOP curve in the proposed reference file. And then the distance for this line is going to be 68.5 feet. So I'm going to set the length at 68.5 here. And it's asking for the start location, and the start is going to be this line right here. And there's going to be that 68.5 feet, so we just snap to where it ends. And we are not mirroring. And now we have that line placed. So now with that same feature definition selected, the Prop EOP control, we're going to open up the Variable Offset Taper tool under this Offset and Tapers. And here we're going to select the ramp center line. And then we're going to snap to the 16-foot dimension in the proposed reference file. or first we're going to snap to the line that was just created. I'll turn off some of these levels. So the first snap is going to be at the end of that line that was just created, and I turned off the pavement edge in the I-65 corridor reference file. And then the second point here is going to be right here at the 16-foot dimension. And we're not mirroring. We'll close level display. So once we have those two lines placed, we're going to complex those two lines. And then we're going to turn on all the levels. So now we're going to go ahead and place that template drop for the section here. So we're going to open up the new template drop tool under Open Roads Modeling Corridors and then Create. So here we're going to select the TS4 right 1 lane 4 layer template. Then we can select the ramp corridor. Then we're going to lock to start here, and then we're going to end this template drop at station 502 plus 51.09, which is where the concrete ramp begins. So left click through the prompts to place this template drop. So next we need to open the Create Point Control tool, open those modeling corridor, edit and edits, and select the ramp corridor. So here we want to set the start station to be locked to start. And then the stop needs to be 502 51.09, which again is the end of the asphalt template. The point here needs to be EOP-L. And then mode is horizontal, control type linear geometry, and then the plan element here is the EOP control. And then we can left click through some of these prompts. And then notice how the EOP-L now follows through the control line. Now we're going to open up the Create Parametric Constraint tool under Open Roads Modeling Corridor Edit and Edits. And we're going to select the asphalt ramp template. So the start is going to be locked to start again, 500 plus 00, and then the stop needs to be 502 plus 51.09, which is the end of the asphalt template. The constraint here needs to be shoulder off left. And then start and stop needs to be anything but 0, so I'm going to put in 0.1, and then left click through these prompts. Now we need to match the outside shoulder width of the mainline corridor, so go ahead and open up the Create Parametric Constraint tool again. And then we're going to create another parametric constraint along the entire asphalt template. So I'm going to select the ramp corridor here. I'm going to go again from station 500 plus 00 to station 502 plus 51.09, where we're going to set the constraint value to the GSHR width. Start value needs to be 12, and then we're going to leave the stop as 8. So left click through some prompts here. And then in addition to the shoulder transition, we need to add a transition for the standard ditch depth. So the ditch depth for the I-65 mainline is 3.5 feet, but the depth for the ramp is 4.17. So we're going to create another parametric constraint. Locate this corridor once again. start is still the beginning, then the stop is going to be that 502 plus 51.09. The constraint value needs to be ditch depth R. Then the start here needs to be negative 3.5, and we'll leave the stop as negative 4.17. Left click through some prompts, and we'll just see this ditch line up here. So next we need to model the Gore between the templates, so go ahead and turn off the proposed reference file. So let's go ahead and open up the Create Parametric Constraint tool once again and select the ramp corridor. And then we're going to kind of set up to adjust the left end condition within the concrete template. The start station is going to be 502, 51.09. The stop is going to be 503, 01.09. The constraint label needs to be EC off left. And then start and stop needs to be 0.1. And then left click through some prompts here. So this is kind of where we're working at now. You can see how there's a little gap here. We're going to create a key station. So create key station, select the ramp corridor, and we're going to add this at 503.01.1. And it should kind of fill in this area a little bit better. We can also add another key station here at station 502.51.1 as well to kind of clean up this here. So now that's looking a lot better. File, save. And that's all we need to do in this file for now. So we're going to open up the RDWYII corridor file. So this file, we need to make sure that we have the proposed DGN reference file turned off. I'm going to open up the 3D view as well. So here we need to repeat the parametric constraint step for the mainline corridors. Open up the Create Parametric Constraint tool again. And then we're going to select the mainline corridor. And then we're going to have the start station as 416.43.93. The stop station as 416.93.93. So basically adding 50 feet here. And then the constraint label needs to be EC off right. And then start and stop needs to be 0.1. And then left click through some prompts here. So taking this off right here. And then we're going to add a key station. So go ahead and open up the Create Key Station tool. Select the I-65 corridor. And we're going to add this station to 416.93.94. We will now draw the controlling lines for the two surface templates we're going to create. So we're going to switch back to the ramp corridor file. So we're going to save here. File, ramp corridor. Then we can select the special ditch edge and control feature definition under linear, roadway, model control, 2D plan, and then special ditch. Next, open the single offset partial tool under Open Roads Modeling, Geometry, Horizontal Offsets and Taper. And we're going to select the GSHL for the ramp. And then we're going to key in the offset of 0 feet. And we're going to start at the start of the concrete template. And then we're going to end it at the end of the parametric constraint. And then we're going to repeat that last step for the GSHR line on the mainline corridor. And once again, we're going to start it down here at this key station. And then we're going to end it up here at this key station. And then we're going to place a couple lines, but those lines are a little tough to place, so I'm going to go ahead and turn off those yellow lines in both the ramp corridor, so the shoulder edge line, and then the I-65 corridor, so the shoulder edge line as well. So let's make sure that the Create 3D automatically is still turned on in our feature definition toolbar. And then we're going to open the By Angle from Element line tool under Open Roads Modeling, Geometry, Horizontal, Lines, Lines from Element, and then By Angle from Element. So this can be tricky, but we're going to select these two lines that we just placed. We're going to draw a 90-degree angle from both of these. So go ahead and left click that line, and we're going to key in XQ of 90. It asks us the start point, which is going to be here at the very top of the line. And also asks us for the skew, so I'm going to left click again at the start of the line, and then we start drawing the line. So long as it goes past the key station here from the 65 corridor alignment, we're good. So now I have this line here. I'm going to do the same thing with this line over here. So click the line, start point is there at the top, key in a skew of 90, click the start again, and then we're drawing our line. If you left click on these lines and you have the little orange handles here, we're just going to take those and draw them back to where they actually intersect each other. And then same with this line. Then we're going to complex those two perpendicular elements that were just drawn, and we're going to do it from left to right. And then we're going to open up the profile of the elements that were just drawn. And hopefully you get something that looks like this. But then we're going to open up the Profile Intersection Point tool under Open Roads Modeling, Geometry, Vertical, and the Profile Creation. Then in the plan view, select the ditch line that was drawn, and then select the two offset ditches that were created. So the first line we're going to select is this complex element, and then the lines that intersect. And then you should see some pink dots appear. So since the slopes of the gravel shoulders are 6:1, so let's go ahead and draw a profile line from each pink intersection point that slopes downward at a 6:1 or 16.67% slope. And then the slope here needs to be negative 16.67. That's going to go all the way down to the far right side. We're going to do the same thing with this point, but it's going to be a positive 16.67%. Then we're just going to draw a couple more lines here, and we're just going to trace these lines to create a V ditch here. Down to the intersection. From the intersection back up to the right pink dot. And then those two lines we just created, we're going to complex those and then set that line to active. And then we can close down on the profile. So next we need to draw the break line for the center of the graded area. So let's go ahead and open up that variable offset taper tool once again under open nose modeling, geometry, horizontal, and then offsets and taper. So turn back on the IC5 shoulder edge line. So we're going to select the main line, GSHR line. And then we're going to select the intersection of those horizontal complex geometry that was previously created as the start of the new control line. And then we're going to place the end of this new control line anywhere near the middle at the end of the two ditches leading towards the Gore area. So just literally anywhere in this ballpark down here. So once we have that drawn, let's go ahead and open up the profile of this element that we just created. And we're going to open up that profile intersection point tool once again under open nose modeling, geometry, vertical, profile creation, then profile intersection point. And then in the plan view, we're going to select this taper line and then the horizontal complex element up here. And we should get a pink dot in our profile. And we're going to open the profile line between points tool under open nose modeling, geometry, vertical, and lines. And we're going to draw a line from that pink dot to the other end of the profile that was created automatically. And then we're going to set that profile geometry line to be the active profile. Now we need to model the asphalt Gore before placing any templates. So select the prop EOP control feature definition. So under this EOP, prop EOP control. And make sure that the create 3D automatically is still toggled on. So open the single offset partial tool. And select the EOP line from the mainline corridor. We're going to offset this 0 feet. And we're going to go from the start, it will be the intersection of the main line and the ramp EOP lines. And we're going to end this at the beginning of the shorter line. And then we're going to repeat that step for the ramp corridor. So I'm going to select the ramp EOP. Start it again down here at the intersection. And end it again back up here. Next, open the Single Offset Entire Element tool under Open Rows Modeling, Geometry, Horizontal Offsets, and Taper. And then we're going to offset those EOP control lines we just placed. So the first one's going to be this main line one. And we're going to offset it 10 feet. And we're not mirroring. Then after we offset that, we're going to select this line and open in this properties. We can set the slope down here to be -4. And then we're in a very similar process, offset this line we place for the ramp EOP. Instead of 10 feet, we're only going to do 4 feet for this one. And then once again, open the properties for that line that we just offset and set the slope to be 2%. So -4 for this one, and then 2 for the ramp. Then we need to create a curved nose of the paved Gore. So open the Simple Arc tool under Open Nose Modeling, Geometry, Horizontal, Arc, and then Arc between elements. And then select the 2 EOP control lines that were just offset in the last step. And then place the arc near the end of the shoulder lines and set the trim to both. Next, we need to create a terrain from element. So we're going to open that tool from Open Nose Modeling, Terrain, and then Create. So from element here. And then we're going to set up some of these settings. So feature type is boundary, edge method is none, feature definition is civil cell. Name this Gore Asphalt. Then in the 2D view, I'm going to select the Gore nose, then the ramp EOP control line, and then the mainline EOP core line. And to make it a little bit easier to select these lines, I'm going to turn off everything but design, tran, and edge of travel way. These are the 3 lines we're going to be selecting. So the first one is going to be the nose here, Gore nose. And then the ramp line, and then the main line. And then right click to accept. And then left click through these prompts. And then go ahead and open up the Explorer over here on the left-hand side. And we're going to open up the Open Roads model here. Open up this ramp corridor DGN file. And then open up terrain model. And open up civil cell. You should see this Gore asphalt. So right click on this and select templates. And then apply surface template. Then here we want to select the surface shoulder template. So it should be under linear templates, civil cells, surface, then surface shoulder. Make sure that this is toggled off, the apply external clip boundary. Toggle that off. And then we can left click through these prompts So now we're going to do a very similar thing, but up here under the nose of the Gore. So I'm going to go back, turn on some levels under this ramp. Turn off the shoulder edge. And turn off the shoulder edge and the 65 corridor alignment as well. So we're going to do that same from Elements tool under Open Nose Modeling, Terrain, Create. And here we're going to select these lines here that we created. So we're going to do this in a clockwise direction. So the first line needs to be the exterior ditch line here. And then the complex element. Then the right side element. Here we are not selecting the center ditch line. Right click once we have those three lines selected. Feature type is boundary, edge method is none, feature type is civil cell, and we're going to name this one as Gore aggregate. And so then we're just going to left click through these prompts. And then once again in the Explorer, we're going to locate the Gore aggregate terrain under Gore aggregate. So right click on this and select templates. And then apply surface template. And then three dots here for the templates, and this time we're going to select the surface aggregate template. Under linear templates, civil cells, surface aggregate. Click OK. Make sure the apply external clip boundary is toggled off, and then we can left click through these prompts and that template should appear. Appears I forgot to add the nose there. So I'm just going to go ahead to add feature and then select this line, right click, left click the prompt, and it should add it anyways. So the step there where we selected these three lines should have selected the radius here, but if you didn't, like me, just right click, add feature, and then select that line. So last step, we need to add the break line down the middle of the surface for the Gore aggregate. So just right click on it, add feature, and select the center ditch line. Then right click, but this time we need to set the feature type as break line, so left click again. Now the modeling of the ramp Gore is complete. So this concludes exercise 11.3, creating a ramp Gore.